Welcome back to the channel, guys. I am your host, Zach, and today we are taking a step back from our three-tiered build system, and I'm asking myself, how do I build a bug-out bag? What all do we put in it? We're basing it off of the 10 C's here, and so we're seeing what do we put in Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. So let's take a deeper look at that today on Airborne Outdoors. So first things first, guys, let's just identify what we have here on the table as far as our 10 C's of survivability. We're talking about our cutting device, our cordage, our combustion, cover, container, candle, cotton, compass, cargo tape, and canvas needle. Now, obviously, this is not a bug-out bag. This is the 10 C's in their most basic form. And that's the nature of this video. One, a bug-out bag has a lot more than the 10 C's, but also the 10 C's are a lot more than the 10 C's, and that's really what I want to talk about today. These are our basis of categories. And so what I want to do is look at each category and figure out what do I have on Tier 1, what do I have on Tier 2, what do I have on Tier 3 in each of the categories, or if I even need each category in each tier. So let's break away and look at that first. So first things first, guys, we're in that cutting device category, and that reminds me of not just everything that cuts, but I mean all of our tool options. So, I go back to my massive Becker BK non-combat Bowie knife that does, if you remember, don't forget, has that, I think this is the BK13, just a small little knife that would be great for like gutting a fish or something like that. But a nice big sword, 9-inch machete. I mean, compare that to like your Mora knife, which I mean, this Canspo is a great little bushcraft knife, but they don't even compare, right? I mean, look at those blades. So I mean, everything has its place, and I'm really hoping to get your guys' input in all of these categories and where do these things fit in the different tiers. So like, how many tools do we bring? So just for an example, we have this big knife. We'll throw that to the side. We have some great other options, outside of knives. I don't really have any larger hatchets right now, but I have that small Gerber hatchet, just a little hand axe. It gets the job done clearing out tools. But then of course, in your cutting, you have other tools, so there's that Bahco laplander, which is obviously a wonderful tool. I like to pair these together in my 511 Rush 24 because they both fit in that side pocket just perfectly. You got a nice Mark handful and a Bahco laplander. This is kind of a great camping, maybe Tier 2 type option. My favorite new SRKC. Now that I have this, I'm almost, I'm getting really excited about this type of, this knife series, and I may be purchasing the standard SRK as well, and trying to figure out, do I want to invest in that higher quality steel, just to go along in that bug-out bag. So what else do you have? I have all my you got multi-tools, which offer you, a greater range of options in a survival situation, all the way down to, like, I put a small neck knife in here just to go along with all these knife options. You got larger knives, you got medium knives, you got smaller knives. I got the bigs, the Victorinox Champ, and what is this one? This is the Victorinox, not the hiker, not the camper, maybe the Fieldmaster, if this has the screwdriver. Anyway, I pimped this one out. This is one of my regular daily carries. Put the plus scales on there, got the pin in there, and so those are options. We looked at the rock tool in one of my videos the other day. Just a really small, here's like a little Victorinox Rambler, kind of like an SD, but you got a little screwdriver, bottle opener on there. So some options. Looked at this Perwin full-size multi-tool the other week. Great options. And then something like this where I put together a tool kit where I have my Leatherman Surge along with this Victorinox companion on there, spare tools on the side. So stuff like that, guys. It's not just a cutting tool. It's it's all the tools that go in that category. So that's the cutting tool. So let's go ahead and look at the next category. So here we are in that cordage category, and I got a bunch of different kind of cordage out here, but it's more than that, guys. I mean, we got the big 1,100 pound cordage, 550 cord, tactical cord, bank line, micro paracord. We got our spool tool. But look, thinking about the 3-tiered system, and this is why I had to put the brakes on it, and you know, because I had built a smaller on my person kit, and then I built a medium-sized kit to just throw in a haversack or something, and then I had already built a full-size bug-out bag, and I was going to repack that, and I started thinking, well, what all do I have on myself? I mean, I need to inventory this stuff to begin with before I pack it all away. And so how much cordage do we really want? Do we need 100 feet in the main bag? Do we need 200, 300 feet? Do we, what do we keep on our person? What do we keep in our haversack? Do we need them in all three? And so I hope you guys will chime in and say, hey, we want some heavy duty cord. Throw that in the main bag. Put some tactical cord somewhere. Maybe bring the bank line on your person or the micro paracord. It's nice to have this. I use this a lot when I'm just plain old hiking, where I camp every night, maybe 3-4 nights. And so it's easy to just untie a little bit and have the cutter here and stake out a corner and tie it to a tree or something, and makes it really easy. I do end up like throwing a lot of this cordage away because I don't keep 50 little 12 to 18 inch sections of it, although I do have a bunch. But that's kind of wraps up that category, guys. Give me your input, give me your advice. What do you think? And by the end of this series, maybe in the next video or 2 or 3, we'll be able to set each category in, and then we'll lay it all out, and we'll say, okay, this is what we need to have on our person, this is what is in the tier 2, and this is, obviously the sleep system and the shelter system and the large items are probably going to be in the bug out bag, and then it's just going to be an idea of what all do we have in each other tier. So let's look into the next category. So here we're just jumping into that next fire category. I'm just sliding up these categories as we go. And I just kind of grabbed one of my whole boxes here of a lot of fire type equipment. But here's that little Esbit stove, big ferro rod, bellow, live fire. We got a little, this is like a little, I think this came in one of those kind of subscription boxes where you get something every month. But you got a little flint and steel and some char cloth and some jute twine. That might be something fun to take out in the springtime here, and just we can explore with that. But popping this open, we got every kind of little fire gadget, stove, Bear Grylls fire rod, fire tabs. I got a little pre-made or a little self-made fire kit here. Yuko matches. So guys, just keep in mind, I mean, the exact Exotac, this would probably be something I'd want to keep on my person, right? Some signal flares. I mean, obviously to use as a signal flare, but an amazing way to start a fire in some really damp, cold, wet conditions. But also maybe even as a self-defense item to scare a bear away or some animals. Just more packs of matches, and here's like a little fire kit I built with a ferro rod, a tea light candle, and some matches. So we got just tons of options as far as fire goes, all the way down to our little strike force. Where's our big strike force? We got everything, guys. It's just a matter of what are we gonna put where. Bic lighters, them Go Fire matches. I don't see my big old ferro rod in here, but that's just an idea of some of the options to include in your fire kit. And of course, we're going to continue after the 10Cs, because the 10Cs doesn't cover everything, and that's kind of the nature of this video. So that's what's covered in the 10Cs. So let's look at the next category. So as usual here, we're in the cover element, and we have just a plethora of options as well. But just to overlook the category that it's not just one thing, it's not just a little Mylar blanket. We got stuff like the poncho from yesterday, that emergency bivy bag, our little like heat sheet. But even upgrading from there, we got like a tube tent. I mean, just think of a tube tent and a SOL escape bivy. That gets you out of the rain. This keeps you warm. Throw something underneath it, a little blanket or something, and that's pretty decent cover. You got the SOL Sport Utility Blanket. I don't think I've ever even opened this. Oh, I've opened it, but I've never even used it. You know, your larger, this is like a sill nylon. This is actually a pretty large, I don't know if this is 10 feet by 10 feet or something. It's got, I've used it pretty extensively. It's got some rips in it and stuff, but here's like your heavy duty Mylar blanket, you know, your big, emergency blanket like that. Just a double sized SOL blanket, and then just like even an army poncho. So without breaking out my really big Arcturus, and you know, try to keep in mind everything. You know, I didn't lay out all my knives. I mean, I had 3 times more knives than that, but you know, I actually did lay out a lot of my fire stuff. I had a lot more, but another box full. But to decide what do we want to have, I started thinking about my my shelter that in the Army. One of my commenters suggested the BugOut bag build was 80% worthless junk because he had just got back from deployment, so he knows. And it's like, I mean, come on, I was in the military, I was in the 82nd. I'm not saying I'm a badass or anything, because I'm not, and it was a long time ago, 30 plus years ago. But just based on that story, I asked him to name the 80% of items. Of course, he didn't name a single one, but that's okay, because I appreciate all the comments anybody makes, and any critiques of the videos is great to me. And I want to make the 80% of the worthless items better if he will just let me know. But it reminded me, we kept a poncho in our butt pack, you know, and so I started looking at the butt pack that comes with that Molly 2, the GI, the government issue Molly 2 rucksack system. The butt pack is really big and really nice, and it would be big enough to put a poncho and a poncho liner, and so stuff like that. So what do we keep? How much shelter do we need? You know, do we need my big Arcturus? Where do I have that thing? Oh, it's tucked away. But you know, a big 12-foot by 8.5-foot tarp, or can we get away with just these smaller tarps? You know, they look big, but when you lay these out, and like I made a teepee tent out of this when I was out deer hunting, and it is tiny. It's just big enough to lay under it. It's like smaller, significantly smaller than a tube tent. And so I was thinking, though, you know, a couple cover items on you would not be bad. In the second tier, maybe no cover, and then in the BugOut bag itself, maybe, you know, some of our larger pieces of tarps and covers, and maybe even a tent. You know, we have some tent options to include in our kit. So, you know, that's the cover option, the cover category. And so we're going to just keep expanding about, you know, this is all about what do you put in the survival system to begin with, you know. So the 10 C's is the foundation. And after that, we're going to get on to some more categories as well. So let's look at what's next. So here we are on to our container portion of the 10 C's. And this category is not so debatable as far as what we should bring, because I think it's single wall stainless steel bottles and canteens. It's a no-brainer. Here's the Pathfinder bag, and so that is kind of a no-brainer that I would have that inside or attached to my main bag, which with this 3-tiered system, I would probably go with the smaller bag, the 511 Rush 24, or even a little smaller depending on what bag options you have. But definitely you probably want water of some type on each layer. So I was thinking maybe a canteen like this, or even an Elgin canteen, because just what's on your body doesn't have to be, you know, you don't have to have all your filters and tabs. But container wise, you know, here's a little bucket, little Sea to Summit folding bucket, 10 liters, you know, so people don't even think about stuff like that. And here's just a little inflatable sink. And it's just great to be able to have some water there to do dishes or just wash your hands and stuff. And then stuff like the, what is this? The MSR cook pot. And this is the 1.1 liter pot. And I've shown building out some kits in this. In this kind of system, I've considered doing that, but then I started thinking, well, what do you do with all that stuff in there when you go to cook with it? So it's kind of pointless to have it in there. So, but I would probably want something like this, you know, definitely not on my person and not on, you know, in my second tier system, in my vest or in my haversack, but in the main bag along with, you know, this cook system, and then maybe having the canteen or the Elgin. And of course you want some cups, you know, here's just a little GSI stainless steel cup. I got this little this little foldable 16-ounce water bottle. Just something that can fold up, and or is this is a 1 liter. Wow, this is a 32 ouncer. So this would work perfect for the aqua tabs, so something like this. Look at this. This could fold right up and be in a little something kind of like a little dump pouch or something on my side with 3, 4, 5 liters worth of aqua tabs, and that would be plenty of backup water, if you got a full canteen on you, or an Elgin or something. So and there's even something like this. Maybe this is only a 12-ounce water bottle, but maybe you have some other liquids with you. Like I could see myself filling this up with red wine and just having a little bump at night for the good of the belly. So those are the majority of the container options I have. I mean, I have some more cups, more Elgin bottles. I have that other smaller cook pot, but I have the also have that jet boil, in this category. So it's like, is that something you'd want to be able to, do you want to carry the gas with you, but be able to have that that ability to rapidly boil water and rehydrate some dehydrated meals and eat some hot food quick. So look at that category, guys. Understand you just pick 1 or 2 or 3 of these to build out a bag. If you're just building a small kit, just a little BugOut bag, or just a 1-tiered system, I'd probably just go with like that stainless steel, just a 40-ounce stainless steel water bottle. This is a clean canteen. The prices aren't bad on those. These Pathfinder kits are a little more expensive, but not too bad. I think you can get those for a fairly decent price. Matter of fact, I'll put an Amazon affiliate link in the description box to this kit, because it's one of the first things I recommend. If my friends ask me what should I do to start building out a kit, I'd probably say, like, get yourself a decent fixed blade knife, maybe even a cheap Moore knife if you're wanting to start out, low price, and buy this, and a lot of people already have some type of bag, but you work your way up from there. So that's an idea of our container category. So let's see what's next. So here we are in our kindling device category. And I just got a bunch of my flashlights laid out. Of course, you've seen this one in other videos, my little Husky L-shaped flashlight. I really enjoy this thing. When I'm hiking especially, I can hike this or clip this right onto my pack strap, and then have a light that can face forward easily. But then also I can just use it like a regular getting around if I have it in my hand. Just different options, different battery sizes, This thing I picked up, it was at like a discount store for really cheap, but it's got like a strap cutter here. It's got a glass breaker. It's got a couple lighting options, and it is rechargeable. And so this thing, and it's USB-C. So, and that's a point we'll get into later, but and it's even a magnetized bottom here. Oh, there we go. So, we got our Petzl, we got our Black Diamond Spot, we got this is just an Energizer, but it works great. I mean, I wouldn't argue with anybody if they wanted to buy just a cheap $20, maybe even $15 Energizer headlamp. These Coasts, you can get these at Walmart. They're not terrible, and they'll definitely get the job done if you don't really plan on it being your whole life. And just even down to some little key ring lights, something that we might have hanging on our side. And then we got stuff like this Pro Streamlight. This is one of my first, when I first kind of started getting into flashlights, I bought this Streamlight ProTac 2L. I don't think they make this on anymore, but it's got those CR123s in there. And then, of course, my favorite O-Light O-Clip Pro. I'll have to leave an affiliate link in the content or in the description box. And then, like, your candles, guys. Like, I think this was only $2.99 at a Goodwill. Just a cool little 36-hour survival candle, which got me to buy a 12-pack of these cheap tins and make some of my own survival candles. That one only has 1 wick just because I wanted it to last a long time. And then just these little fatty little tea light candles. And so how many lighting options do we need? I didn't throw all the battery options in here. I have all the little battery packs we can throw in here. Maybe have something like the larger flashlight with the This is also rechargeable with the USB-C and has a secondary battery pack that you can replace the rechargeable battery with 3 AAAs, and then I could put more AAAs in there. You know, something like this Petzl's so lightweight and even has a little belt clip on it. I could see this being on my person. Maybe this little old clip being on my person. You know, same thing with the L-shaped flashlight. I was saying you can strap that to your pack frame. You know, obviously this too, you could have that strapped in there and then just easily clip it on to light your way. And you know, they are lightweight and they are something that could be very important. Maybe have a nice little, you know, this is a decent headlamp, the Black Diamond Spot. This one, be full disclosure, I left the batteries in it for like a season or two, and I corroded it away to the point it doesn't really work now. But I will be picking up some more headlamps like that. So let me know what you guys think. You know, do we bring, you know, these are pretty heavy for what you get, but they do provide warmth and light and security and just that sense of hominess when you're sitting at camp and as it's getting dark and you're not really ready to sleep yet. Maybe even have the ability to keep some animals at bay, having such even a tiny little candle lit by the entryway of your shelter. So let me know what you think, guys. A couple headlamps, a couple flashlights, or somewhere in between. So let's go on and see what's next. And on to our category of cotton that I have represented by my little napkin that you dip in water and blow it up. But this is kind of a no-brainer category that you're definitely going to have a few of these. But you know, from your full-size Shemagh, which I can see having multiple of these, definitely one in your bag and maybe even one around your neck. You know, to my UST Survival bandana, especially an orange one where you can say I'm gonna multitask this and use it as a reference guide, but also as a signal, you know, panel type thing. Just a little triangular sheet, you know, kind of like the Boy Scouts would have. I actually carried this one when I was in the 82nd. Just a little wipe your face and cooking, and a star map, which you do a little research, and having this on you is a great way to tell directions at night. And I mean, barring overcast clouds and the inability to see the moon, which is rare, you will be able to see something. You know, like if you know how to find the Big Dipper, for example. This is a really easy one that I've known for 30 years. You know, the Big Dipper here, and then it points up towards the North Star, you know, and so that way is the direction that your compass would point north, or kind of, barring declination. And then here's just like a camp towel, again, you know, an orange one, but I have different color ones, different size ones. This one's really small. You know, I could see, you know, hey, why don't you keep that little camp cloth in your pocket, you know, like even on my EDC in my pants right now, I have, I think one of those UST bandanas like this in my, in like a cargo pocket, just a flat little pocket on my side. So that's kind of a no-brainer category. Let's see what's next. So yes, we are on to our little compass category, which, like I said in yesterday's video, this Brunton compass has 2 or 3 or 4 other options, which I did buy. I actually bought the glow-in-the-dark one today, so you'll be seeing that in a coming video. But here I just have laid out, guys, you know, a bunch of my other Brunton compasses. Something like this, I wouldn't mind somebody wanting to say, hey, make that your primary one, because it's a decent compass as well with your bezel ring and your mirror, and you have some measuring, some straight line options and some measuring options on the side here. So even though it's just a basic guide model 426 map compass, something like this really does get the job done. And like I said, in these kind of categories, I don't mind these things being orange, where, you know, you're trying to navigate in low light and you drop it in the leaves, and the black one is just impossible to find. Of course, one like this, you know, you got a neck ring, comes with a little whistle and the same kind of thing. Got a decent bezel ring. You got your same measurement options. You got your sighting mirror in there, which you could also use as a signal mirror or a personal mirror. But in this category, you know, people don't talk about, you know, like a whistle isn't in the 10Cs, but I kind of included in this category, along with like mirrors and and different like star flash signal mirrors and stuff like that. Panel markers and smoke grenades and maps, you know, definitely a map of your area. And so what do you think, guys? I think, you know, have a compass around your neck, but do we even need a backup one? Let's talk about that category, and let's look at our next category. So let's wrap up our 10Cs with our cargo tape and our canvas needle category. That way we got all of our 10Cs covered here. And just laying out some options. One of my favorite pieces now is this folded up Gorilla tape. And it's a pretty, it's a good 2/3 of a roll. And you know, you got rolls of like electrical tape, duct tape, more folded up duct tape. And then as far as that needle goes, I mean, I kind of count that. I mean, it's just a category, right? I mean, it's not just a needle. So you could throw in your whole sewing kit. And even better than that would be like my whole Adventure Medical Kits sewing and repair kit. Survival sewing and repair kit. Survival, camping, hiking, fishing, and I have this extra loaded out with all kinds of extra goodies and gadgets in there. I got some tenacious tape and duct tape and needles and threads and patches and all kinds of stuff. So, you know, it's not just a 10Cs of, you know, obviously that would be the most minimalistic thing to bring because it is very difficult to recreate in nature, or at least very useful and difficult to create. I mean, they made these out of animal bones and different things like that, flint and off rocks, and so there's more to it in each category than just what meets the eye with just those basic 10Cs idea. So that's the 10Cs, guys. You know, maybe I'd have this repair kit in my survival kit, in my survival bag, and then maybe I would just have a small roll of tape on my person like this, you know, or something like that. So in this series of videos, I've decided to continue this series with each category as we pick it out for each tier. I'm going to have this in the bag, this in the haversack, and this on my person, and then we'll go through all the categories, and then in the end this might end up being a 10-15 video series, but we'll try to put 2 or 3 categories in each video, maybe. And that way we can really customize and trick this out and having it well documented, and we'll redo it and make sure we got everything in there. So let me kind of go on to the next categories that I kind of have created. And remember, you saw it here first. You have the 10Cs, and then you have this. So the next grouping of categories, guys, I have developed and called the 5Fs. So when I build a kit off of the 10Cs, that is the main foundation, and it's the 10Cs of categories. All the tools, all the cordage, all the fire making. And I did somewhat forget to bring up in the fire making category is also all of your cooking and food preparation, you know, your cover and all the options, and so all those categories. The 5Fs, well, let's just name them out: firearm, first aid, food, fishing, and filter. And it's something that just reminds me how to trick out my 10Cs kit. So obviously the firearm is an easy acronym to remember, because it's just saying what you're doing as you're bringing some means to protect yourself and hunt and just rule the wasteland in that way. First aid, again, left out of the 10Cs is first aid, and it's probably its biggest weakness, although it's a super cool system. I probably would have left out the needle and called it something like care, cargo tape and care, and added the first aid. This I don't even have. Oh, I do have a band-aid in there. So remember to put your first aid kit. So as we go on in this 3-tier system, you know, this is, I kind of have my chest rig already loaded out and set, and so this will be my this is my sidearm option, and then the only other option will be, do I bring, you know, a smaller 22 or a larger 5.56 or something like that. And same, first aid is probably going to be pretty well set. You know, we put a full size, well stocked with all your ointment salves and pills and medications and prescription medications all in the BugOut bag, and maybe have a tourniquet and a booba kit on you or something like that. Food, and I'll just mention fishing is a different category for a specific reason, which I'll get to in a second, but food is obviously something you can just eat. Whereas fishing is talking about food procurement. So it doesn't just mean fishing. Just like those don't always mean knife. You know, that could mean saw and multi-tool and Victorinox. The food means, you know, these lifeboat bars, dehydrated meals, MREs, candy bars, nuts, seeds, trail mix, stuff like that is a great... You know, trail mix might expire in less than 2 years, but, you know, it's something you also want to eat. So, you know, you could buy a 3-pound bag of trail mix and just have it as your backup food supply that's going to be on you, and then just eat it every year and buy a new one every year. And then you still have some date of some ability to, you know, make it last after that. Not, you know, you're not going to eat it, you know, it's not going to be needed in 2 years. And then fishing, you would count everything, and we'll get to this category when we do it in our 3-tiered system. But obviously the fishing kit itself, because in Minnesota, like I brought up in other videos, is extremely likely you will be able to catch fish almost anywhere. The streams, the rivers, the lakes, they're just everywhere. Walk any direction from anywhere, and you're going to run into some water fairly quickly. And it's very believable, especially, you know, netting, which is not legal, but in a survival situation, you might want to have a net on you. And then also, you know, you would include, you know, all your hunting, all your fishing, all your trapping, all your means of you know, even, you could even say this category would include like having seeds with you, having the ability to plant fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. And then filter, even though, you know, it does have the water bottle category, it's just a way to fill out my 3 F's and remind me that these 3 F's really go great with the 10 C's, because food is not in there at all. You know, you got a knife to get food maybe, but, you know, same thing. There's a container in there, but you want to filter out that water. You don't even have anything first aid or firearm related. And so that's going to wrap up this video, guys, and I'm super excited to continue this series. Little heads up, I bet you this Becker BK9 is going to be my main knife in my BugOut bag, but I want you guys to kind of weigh in on it. Is that a little too big? Should we go with something like that Gerber LMF2 or that Gerber Prodigy, or should I look at purchasing another knife? You know, I have the smaller, I have like the... well, I just bought that SRKC. I have that Ontario Knives Rat 3. And I have like the Mora knife Companion HD. And I also have the Mora knife Cansbowl. You know, but they're more belt knives to me, where I could see myself like having a neck knife, a belt knife, and a main bag knife. And that'll be something I hope you guys will weigh in on and say, hey, you know, carry this many knives, this many containers, this, you know, maybe limit this. You know, food is not going to be the most important thing, but it is one of the most needed. You know, like your knife is going to last you forever if you take good care of it. You know, your shelter option is going to be, it's going to be lasting weeks, months, and maybe even years. Where, and even your water filters, you know, not this particular one's just a little tiny one, but like I got big ones that they'll last you the rest of your life, especially if you bring some extra filters with you and you got the bags and the hoses. But food is going to be the one thing you have to replenish continuously, and even the water. Like I said, I mean, there's water everywhere around here. As long as I can find out, hey, this, well, I already know for a fact, I already drank out of one of the streams. I just filled up 14 gallons of it today. It's the only water I drink, and it's nearby. I could walk there in about an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes. But I wouldn't have to leave. If I was really bugging out, I could just go there and hang out there, build a shelter, and now I got my water. Got some wildlife nearby. I got a river and lakes nearby. And so with that in mind, guys, just remember, I very much appreciate you giving me a like. If you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Be the first one to see all my new videos. And to bring it up one last time, there will be some Amazon affiliate links in the description box to a an assortment of these items, just kind of as a way, if you want to support the channel for free, just click on there and buy yourself a little cheap $20 water straw. Maybe buy yourself a Mainstay food bar. You know, these things last for years, and I'm pretty sure this is expired, but maybe not. It's hard to tell on here. It's got a 3/18, but I'm not sure if that's the expiration date. I think it is. This had a 5-year life from 3/13 to 3/18, and I just ate one of these last summer, and it was totally edible, and that expired, you know, 7-8 years ago when I ate it. And so, you know, just keep things like that in mind. You know, those are a best buy date. Those are like, they're going to taste a lot better if you eat it before then. But if you had to, which I did, of course I didn't eat the whole thing. I just ate a half of one bar, but it was definitely edible. So again, guys, thanks so much for checking me out, and I'll see you again next time on Airborne Outdoors.